country. And a big thank you to the viewer who pointed this document out to us. It's from October 2021. It's from the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. What's the title? Net Zero Principles for Successful Behaviour Change Initiatives. And what I really want to do in this short segment is to drive home to people the power of these sorts of initiatives and how the fact that they're spread right the way across all of the government agencies and subjects themselves. But of course, who have we got linked in with this in this particular document? Linked in with the department, we've got the Behavioural Insights Team, and encourage our viewers to go and actually have a look at their website. I have tried numerous times to speak to them, but they don't want to reply via their media number or via email. But go and have a look at the people involved. So I've just chosen this particular gentleman, Chair of Behavioural Insights US. And if you have a look at his background, appointed by President Barack Obama to serve in the position of Associate Director of the Office of Strategic Partnerships of the Peace Corps. So just think about the quality of the people involved and start to ask yourself whether you trust them to change your behaviour. But this is also available on the Behavioural Insights Team. It's a little video clip. Well, it's a
Cast.
It's a cast, thank you, Mike, because it's actually over an hour long. Encourage people to have a read of it, have a listen to it. Sorry, I'll get there in the end. But the key bit is that if you start to have a look at the people involved, so it says in the second of a two-part climate change special, BITS Head of Energy and Sustainability, Toby Park, sits down with Cambridge University Professor Teresa Marteau, Moira Nicholson from the Cabinet Office and Valentine Quino from the Centre for Cities. So what sort of people are we talking about? Well, here's the lady from the UK Cabinet Office, and you can have a look at her background, whether you would trust her to change your behaviour. Here's the University of Cambridge, and we've got Professor Dame Teresa Marteau, DBE, and the third of the ladies here, Valentine Quino, here, Senior Analyst, and she's the Centre for Cities. And where this takes you very quickly is back into the whole political, quasi-political agenda of the city-states. So we've gone from behavioural change to people using those behavioural change techniques in order to completely restructure society. If you delve into Centre for Cities, you're going to find that David Sainsbury is a very powerful man within that organisation, and he even has a number 2 to help him in his duties. So is this an independent organisation or is something else going on here? I'm going to suggest it's anything but independent. And if you have a look at Lord Sainsbury himself, a very interesting book, Progressive Capitalism, How to Achieve Economic Growth, Liberty and Social Justice. So don't worry, because with his team, David Sainsbury is going to modify your behaviour, but it's going to achieve liberty and social justice, Mike. And I'm just going to add to this as a little bit of a deviation, but not too far away. Many people have been talking to me about the activities of our old friend, the political charity Common Purpose. Of course, Common Purpose has never gone away. And I found on their website this very interesting article here about civil society and why it needs to be controlled effectively. This brings us back into this book. So we've got The Open Society and Its Enemies by K.R. Popper. And Sir Ralph Durendorff, who wrote the previous article with CP, was a student, as was Soros. So that takes us through to the Open Society Foundations. And of course, it's Open Society that's funding many of the agencies that are now picking up the behavioural change. So I picked up on this article from The Guardian, the George Soros philosophy and its fatal flaw. Interesting to see The Guardian was critical, but you notice that even The Guardian picked up on the link with Karl Popper, who was the influencer of Soros. But a key statement in that article was this one: for Soros, the goal of contemporary human existence is to establish a world defined not by sovereign states, but by a global community whose constituents understand that everyone shares an interest in freedom, equality, and prosperity. In his opinion, the creation of such a goal, such a global open society, is the only way to ensure that humanity overcomes the essential challenges of climate change and nuclear proliferation. Trying to go a little bit quickly there with an eye on the clock, but it doesn't take too long to go from the mechanisms of behaviour change to see that what is actually happening is a strategic change of whole society, and the nation state is not going to be forefront in the world in the future. Alex, a little bit of a digression there, but the behavioural change is not something which is a little bit of playground stuff that's being used by NHS trusts.
It's far from a playground, it's a battleground. We usually get comeback from viewers by email when we mention Karl Popper as George Soros' mentor. Those who are up on their mid-century continental philosophy in the structuralism, existentialism, empiricism debate usually say Karl Popper was a well-meaning old duffer who fled the Nazis and Soros took the ball and ran with it in another direction. I have some sympathy for that, but the irreducible essence of it is that Popper thought an open society was one in which people, atom-like, float in and out of societies. They're all the same, they're interchangeable, they're fungible, and really there's no distinctives in place or time. There's no culture, there's no heritage. I'm sorry to reduce Popper to that, but I'm afraid at the best reading, with the best will in the world, that's what it comes down to. And this is what Soros got his brainwave from, the idea that people's minds are a tabula rasa, and that they can be encouraged to build the new society.
Yes. Okay. Well,